Shannon, thank you. We hope they get the upper hand on that very quickly. We're going to turn now to the deadly garage collapse in Lower Manhattan. One person was killed, and we've just learned that 7 others were now injured.
It has been nearly 24 hours since the initial calls for help. But at this hour, the entire site remains unstable and unsafe to enter. Heavy machinery is being used to slowly remove cars and clear debris. The big concern right now is for another collapse and for hazardous materials such as gas tanks and electric batteries, causing them to go on fire or to explode. The cleanup at the site could take weeks.
Meanwhile, new dashcam video captures the moment of the actual collapse, giving us a first-hand look at what it was like inside the garage as it started to crumble. City officials are now looking into whether the weight of the 50 cars parked on top of the roof of the decades-old building and if that had anything to do with yesterday's collapse.
We have live team coverage this afternoon, starting with Eyewitness News reporter Sandra Bookman at the scene. Sandra.
Yeah, Dave, we are getting confirmation of the identity of the worker killed in yesterday's collapse. Neighbors are telling us it is 59-year-old Willis Moore, the longtime manager of that garage. Again, he was the lone worker killed. Meanwhile, here in Lower Manhattan, efforts continue to not only figure out exactly why that building came down, but also to figure out how best to knock down what's left of it. A cloud of dust heralded the start of the delicate process of bringing down this dangerously unstable building. Inspectors and investigators have been on the scene for the last 24 hours, formulating a plan to do that safely.
This is an incredibly complex operation.
City officials acknowledging the task at hand, dismantling a nearly 100-year-old structurally compromised building with more than 50 cars on the roof. Even as a giant crane and claw began painstakingly removing crumpled cars one by one, the potential dangers were top of mind.
You think about hazardous materials that are in the garage, right? Gas tanks, fluids. Further complicated by the fact that there are possibly some electric vehicles in that garage.
A dash cam captured the moment the concrete floors of the building pancaked yesterday afternoon, killing one of the garage attendants and injuring at least 6 others who were treated and released from a nearby hospital. And while first responders flooded the scene, they were quickly forced out of the still collapsing structure. They turned to technology to survey the wreckage and search for any survivors. A robotic dog and aerial drones did the work that humans couldn't.
If we didn't have that robotic dog, we would have placed those firefighters in jeopardy. The drones were flying around the building to see if there are any other persons inside there. Technology saved lives.
And again, they're using mechanics to break apart that building as they try to bring what's left of it down. This afternoon, as far as what caused the collapse, there are several things being looked at. The age of the building, the weight of the vehicles on top of that garage. Was it a combination of those two things or something else? We're live this afternoon in Lower Manhattan. I'm Sandra Bookman, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
Still so many questions. Sandra, thank you. We want to bring in Eyewitness News reporter Mike Merzer right now.
Yeah, Mike, you've been talking with people in the area all day. You've watched some of the work happening at that building. What can you tell us on the progress there?
Well, David and Liz, as you know, this is a congested area on a good day. The streets are narrow. They have a lot of one-way streets down here. So just maneuvering around for delivery people and trucks and cars and other vehicle traffic, that's tough no matter what time of the year it is. Well, now when you factor in all these emergency vehicles that have been brought in, and as Sandra was talking about, the delicate process of trying to peel back the pieces of this debris just so they can clean everything up and figure out how all of this happened. The teeth from the excavator clench the crunched cars, plucking them from the pile like toys.
One at a time, slow by slow, yank out one mangled car after another.
Ann Street, closed between William and Nassau, filled with equipment and firefighters trying to hose down dust clouds. We experienced on Eyewitness News at noon.
Mike Marza has reaction.
As they peeled away the debris, Samir owns the garage next to the one that collapsed that stores food carts.
Everybody now is like accusing me, like, where's my car? I want to go to work. Where's my car? I don't have no answer.
It's still unclear when he'll be able to get back in.
It's surreal because You don't believe something like this can happen.
The sidewalks jammed with people pulling out their camera phones. Even Maritza, on the way to the doctor, snapped a few.
And then all surrounded by all these buildings is scary.
The city evacuated 161 at William Street on the corner, part of Pace University. All classes in the building remote today.
I heard people like screaming and yelling, so me and my friend were like, let's just go outside and like check around, make sure people know that something's going on too.
24 hours ago, freshman Nate Judy recorded this video from his 6th floor dorm room.
Me and my friend got up and we go to the window and we just saw it was already like started to collapse, and then the top just like broke through the whole, like right where the elevator is. It looks like that just like completely crashed down, sunk all the cars, and it shook like the whole building, and dust was everywhere. It was so loud.
His dorm building was evacuated moments later. Students were allowed to return late last night, but a big area around the campus remains closed.
Everybody's inside, safe, and they're just making sure that they're getting their finals ready, because it's almost finals week, so everybody's getting ready to work.
So as some of those students try to focus on studying for finals in a couple of weeks, they also have to figure out what's going to be the deal with classes tomorrow. We know Pace University has put up some of the students in a hotel in the area as all of this cleanup continues. And then we just saw the NYPD, their emergency service unit, also arrived here on scene. So you have different emergency crews switching in and out as the cleanup and the investigation continues here near the collapse zone. In Lower Manhattan, Mike Marza, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
Certainly understand why this is going to be a long process. Mike, thank you. Well, meanwhile, this building where the collapse happened dates back to the 1940s. Here's a look at what it used to look like back then. It became a parking structure back in 1957. We have been looking into the building's history and learned the current owner has been issued dozens of violations dating back decades. 4 of those violations are still open and have not been resolved, even though they were issued years ago. They range from not having proper fire exits in a stairwell to having defective exit lighting. One of the most serious violations is from 2003, when the building's owner was cited for missing concrete on the steel beams on the first floor and exposed rear cracks. That violation from 20 years ago is still listed right now as being open. The buildings department website does not specify whether the owner filed a certificate of correction with the department, which the owner was required to do. In each case, city records show the owner paid the fines, a total of $2,500, but the DOB website does not detail whether the violations were ever corrected. Just last year, New York City strengthened its code around parking garage inspections.
The city council passed a law that stated that the obligation to do these inspections through an engineer must be carried out by the owners of the property. It's the law. They got to abide by that law. And there's an investigation into exactly what happened here.
Well, under the new code, the owner of this parking garage has until December of this year to have the structure inspected. We can find no record that the inspection has been completed so far. Prior to this year, the regulations around the safety of parking structures was minimal. The structure had to just be in good repair. And we invite you to stay with Eyewitness News for continuing coverage of the deadly parking garage collapse. You can also get updates and information around the clock at ABC7 NY.
Turning to the weather right now, and red flag warnings in effect right now for all of New Jersey, meaning the conditions are leading to an elevated risk of wildfires. In Burlington County, a wildfire burning in Washington Township is now 85% contained. It burned nearly 260 acres in the area of Route 542 and River Road. Crews are currently monitoring containment lines and extinguishing hot spots. Chief Meteorologist Lee Goldberg here with more on today's heightened fire risk. Lee?
You know, Dave, something interesting in that picture, and there were certainly some evergreens there, but trees are definitely leafing out, and that's a good sign, too. They were getting more vegetation. Today's probably the highest fire risk with the strongest winds and the lowest humidity. Not that the fire risk will be down tomorrow to 0, but at the same time, the winds will be a little less. We are warm and dry, but I think we're going to start leaving that height of fire season, hopefully.